Hello everyone. In this episode here, I want to talk to you about thinning plants. It's come time to thin out my kale, black magic, blue curled scotch, also my cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. When you seed them, here's a 50 cell flat of black magic kale. As you see, I hope you can see it okay. Looks pretty nice. I've never grown this variety before, but every cell has at least one that's come up, but mostly there's at least 2 to 3 to 4 in each cell, and that's way too many. The idea with growing kale for seedlings is you want to have one seedling per little cup like this. This is 50, so right now I'd have probably 150 seedlings here, but I only want 50 out of this tray. So I'm going to bring you in for a little close-up and show you how you thin out plants the proper way. Okay, as you can see, we're back to a little bit of a close-up. This is black magic kale. Now, when you're thinning plants, you can do it 2 ways. One is your extra seedling that you have, you can just pull it out, discard it. The second way, which is the proper way, or the better way, is you go in there, use a pair of secateurs like this, or a pair of pruners, or even a pair of scissors, or even a sharp knife and a thumb. You can kind of go like this with it if you don't have a pair of these or can't afford a pair of these. These are maybe $15, $18. But anyway, so you go in here. I'm just going to start right in the center just because that's where I'm at. And you want to look for the best plant. Now, the best plant doesn't necessarily mean the biggest plant, because you can have some, like over here, if you can see this one, that is really tall and lengthy. And here's a lower one that's shorter. Same thing here. This one's taller, but this one is better. So you go in through and you trim them out. Now these, you can eat these. So save these, put them in a salad, or just eat them raw. I find that black magic kale has a little bit of like a nutty taste, but that's just me. So now you're left with one. Now in here we have 3. So you go in real carefully, trim out the ones you don't want. And now after you do it, I'll do the entire tray, and then I'll bring you back to show you what it actually looks like once everything's thinned out. So, after you thin them out, this is what it looks like. And you may say to yourself, it looks a lot better when there was more than just one seedling per tray. And I agree. But the thing is with transplanting, I'll just hold them like this while I talk. Or excuse me, the thing about thinning is if you leave 2 seedlings per cup, each one's absorbing 50%. If you use 3, 33, 4, 25. So you understand that the concept here is instead of 4 little plants getting 25% of the nutrients that are available, one plant is getting 100%. Now with things like kale, you don't need very many nutrients. You can give them some nitrogen, and they love that because you're obviously eating the green part, the chlorophyll part of the plant. But even without, you know, added fertilizer, greens grow really well. Now, I will say something for kale here. I'm doing seedlings for kale. If you live in a climate where you don't need to do seedlings, I'm just going to set this down, where you don't need to do seedlings, you can direct seed kale. Just so very thinly, cover it with, I don't know, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of dirt, water it real good. And then when the plants start coming up, you can thin them then. You can thin them to about 1 foot apart, which is how I'm going to be planting these in the greenhouse through plastic in one of the raised beds. Probably in about 3 weeks or so. It's still too cold up here, and also it's iffy with the power. We had a power outage the other day for about 4 days. But that's how you thin out plants. It's very easy. You do the same thing with any type of seedling that you grow, except for something like some herbs, say like chives, where you want a bunch, you leave a bunch. But tomatoes, I'm looking around my grow room, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cabbages, cauliflower, all those types, zucchinis and stuff, you want to leave 1 seedling per tray. Cucumbers, you can leave 2, maybe even 3 per 3-inch cup, because they're a vining crop and they're okay to grow like that. But larger crops, larger plants, especially this kale, here is considered a tree kale. It'll grow 6 feet tall if my climate allows, which it doesn't. But I'm hoping to get some nice 3-foot plants. And the only way you do that is by thinning out your transplants, thinning out your direct seeding, allowing 1 plant per per every, I'd say 8 to 16 inches, 12 inches is good, right in the middle there for each plant to get the maximum amount of light and nutrient without compromising size. You know, if they're squished in, you won't get the same, the leaves won't be as big. So spread them out, don't be afraid, and make sure you thin your plants. Thanks for watching.